Sarah's with us. Hi, Sarah. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Better than I deserve. What's up?
All right. So my husband and I are having a baby in September, and we're disagreeing about whether or not we should be buying a new-to-us car to prepare. We currently have a 98 Honda Accord and a 2008 Toyota RAV4. I'm not really comfortable with the idea of the baby being in the 98 with all the safety changes, in the past 20-plus years. So we have no debt. We make $180,000 a year before taxes. We have $40,000 outside of our emergency fund. My husband acknowledges that we can afford the car, but doesn't want to buy it because it's a want, not a need. It's a bad time to be buying cars, and there's nothing wrong with the 98. I think we're ready for an upgrade. So what do you think? Can I, or better yet, you tell him that it's time to crack open his wallet?
Is he listening in?
You are great. You're awesome. We should sell tickets.
I think
we
he's
should
outside
sell tickets. This is great.
The room listening.
He's outside the room, Dave. He's standing with bated breath.
And he let you set all of this up just to have his head taken off. This is awesome.
Yes, he did give me his arguments before I called.
His financial arguments are all accurate. But there's some things beyond the financial argument. Your argument on safety is absolute BS. It's absolutely not true. Okay? You're talking to an old man that grew up. We rode in the back window of the car, and when they slammed on the brakes, it threw us into the floorboard. So your baby's going to survive. Okay? So it's going to be okay. You're going to be all right. But you can afford a car. So it is a want, and you have the money for the want. It is not a need. And there's never been a car, well, except for classic cars that are collectibles, that is a good investment. They all go down in value. They're all mathematically horrible. Okay? So it's just simply consumption. But you make how much? $160,000 a year? Right?
180.
180 before taxes. Yep.
I'm sorry, 180. Okay. That's after tax?
Before tax.
Oh, before tax. 180, right? Okay. Is that what you said?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And you have $40,000 allocated to the car, and you don't have any debt, right?
No.
Okay. So if you pay cash for the car, yes, you should move up in car. No, you should not buy a brand new car unless you have a net worth of $1 million or more. In which case, if you want to buy a new car, you can. It's hard to find one for 40, but these days, but you can do that. So, but yeah, I think you would move up in car, and you might even move up in two cars. I'm okay. Neither one of these cars. Neither one of these cars are great. But as long as you're paying cash and the total that you're investing in them is less than half of your annual income, and it would be, you wouldn't have the cash to do more. So, but if you moved up $15,000 each in two different cars, you would move into substantially different vehicles, and we could just set the whole baby thing aside, except that your pregnancy is what caused the argument, but. You just, without a baby involved, you could still do this deal. It's not unreasonable financially. Okay?
Okay.
So you win the argument, but for none of the reasons that you thought.
Now, Sarah,
I'll take it.
Sarah, relationally, I feel like I got to speak up on behalf of your husband. Now, when you share this with him, you got to read him. So maybe the win for you relationally with him is that you give him your car instead of buying two cars. That may be too much for him to handle. I don't know, Dave. This guy's on the other side of the wall.
So Ken is saying, nah, doesn't work to bring this up.
Yes, I'm basically going, I'll tell you what, we could just upgrade my car and I'll give you the one that I'm driving. Or maybe if he wants,
the truth is that his arguments financially are all correct.
Yeah.
There's almost no time you can justify moving up in car financially. It almost never makes sense financially. Oh, it breaks down all the time. It doesn't break down as much as $15,000, which we're talking about moving up on one car here, right? $15,000 in repairs. That's absolute BS. And the safety of a Honda Accord this 20 years, it's just fine. You're just fine. Just don't drive like a maniac,
Yeah.
But, it's not a James Bond movie you're in. You're just taking a kid to daycare. So, but the truth is, it's a luxury that is not going to cripple you financially that you can afford. And I do some stuff like that. and I'm freaking Dave Ramsey, which is kind of synonymous with tightwad. So, Sharon and I buy some things that we can afford. And they don't, meaning they don't cripple us financially. They don't slow us down financially. It's a small enough number that it doesn't matter. And all of these numbers fall in that category.
I'll tell you one. Your coffee maker at the lake. I have no idea what it costs. It's nobody's business, but that's a fantastic coffee maker. I got to tell you, at the lake house, very fancy.
I was intimidated. I have bought cars
it.
cheaper. Yeah.
Oh boy. See, I didn't know, but I'm going to tell you, we were out there.
But I had some cheap cars. But yeah, I mean, it's not a $15,000 coffee maker. But yeah,
it's a nice coffee maker. Is all I'm saying.
And it's just it falls under the category of SWS. Sharon wants it. Right?
I like that. That's a good category.
We can. And in this case, Sarah wants it. SWI, right?
Yeah.
So
that would make great reality TV, the rest of this conversation. See, we put Sarah on hold. Now she's going to go talk to the hubs who's behind the wall. Yeah. Watching how that goes could be great television.
I told you so. It's not going to be a great line here.
No.
But because for all the reasons she wanted to do it, she was wrong.
That's true.
The only reason it works is because it works, and you can afford it. And so if you want to buy an item that doesn't make sense financially, but you have the money. Now, here's another way to look at having the money. I often use this on the air, and I'll use it with this case, okay? Cars are the same way. If you take that amount of money and set fire to it,
yes,
just to watch it burn, does it hold you back substantially financially? Does it cause you to walk with a limp financially? Does it cause you to be off your kilter? And if the answer is no, then you can afford the luxury of it. But oftentimes people buy something and they justify their butts off, they rationalize their butts off, and it's something that's an amount of money you can't afford to burn up.
Correct.
I mean, if you make $60,000 a year and you want to go buy a $40,000 car, you can't afford to burn that much money.
Yeah.
It'll burn your hair off.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't do it.
Right.
And so that's what the type of way of looking at it is. You go, does this change my life if I burn this much money? Then you go, well, then I can afford to buy the luxury. Or like James, he collects $25,000 guitars, right? And I just made that up, but he does collect. He
just choked.
He does have way too many guitars. There's a lot of guitars represented in the booth, as a matter of fact, right now.
Yeah, that's true.
A lot of stringed instruments are represented in the booth.
Yeah.
Can they afford those, given that none of them make their living with those instruments? Yes, they can.
Right.
Because that amount of money as a luxury or in a hobby is something I care about.
Yeah.
Something they care about.
Yeah.
I don't. But that's the amount. I mean, if I buy another gun.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't have enough, I got plenty.
Yeah,
if I buy another one, which I'm apt to do at any moment, does it change my financial trajectory? No.
Yeah.
And as long as that's the answer, and if my wife buys a purse, no one should spend that on a purse. You're right. They shouldn't. But people do, including her. And so no one should spend that on a gun. Let me tell you what guns cost you. 2 purses.
I was getting ready to ask that. You get a new gun, Sharon gets a couple purses.
That's
a good deal for everybody.
It's a trade out. It's a trade out. Same with James and his guitars, right?
Yeah. By the way, when Dave says he has a lot of guns, if the Tennessee National Guard had a shortage, you're on speed dial.
I know. Someday I'm gonna be arrested as an insurgent. But I'm not sure against what.
Hush! You're going to give people ideas. They've been looking for an end for you.
So there it is.
See,
it's easy.
They've been looking for a way to get you.
Yeah, but the point being, if you're spending money on something that has absolutely no benefit except it's something you want, you have lived like no one else, so now you can live
That's a great point.
and give like no one else. Same thing about giving money away.
Mm-hmm.
When you're being generous with the money, you should be able to give it away and it not change your life except for the huge benefit that being a generous person gives you. It's the same exact process. So, but if you want to give everything you own away, you got to stop and think about that one. That needs to be God's voice in your ear for sure, not some kind of guilt trip by a liberal. This is The Ramsey Show.